Hello everybody. What this video is, again for the second multi-factor regression project, multi-factor estimations for your portfolio. What we're going to go through here is how to create the three-factor, Fallon and French three-factor regression. First thing you're going to need to do is bring in the three-factor data. So I've basically, you'll just go into open your three-factor data file, and then you'll right click down here. We want to move copy, create a copy, and then select your multi-factor portfolio, and then you're just going to toss it on to the end. I'm not going to do that since I already have it copied into my worksheet or my Excel spreadsheet. I want you to notice we have our three factors. So this is the market return minus the risk-free rate. SMB is small minus big. It's the return on small companies minus the return on big companies. HML is high book-to-market returns minus low book-to-market returns. High book-to-market means you tend to be a value stock, where low book-to-market means you tend to be like a growth stock. Apple might be a good example, or Google might be a really good example. And then RF represents the risk-free rate. Now these are in actual percentages, so that's 8.12% and 0.98% and 9.86%. And in this case, for the month, the risk-free rate was essentially zero. And 2009, the interest rates were risk-free interest rates were extremely low. And that creates a bit of a problem because our returns are in terms of decimal percentage. So this is 8% return, but it's in, as I said, in decimal. So the three-factor equation looks like this. It's the return of the stock minus the risk-free rate, and that's equal to alpha plus beta 1 times the return on the market minus the risk-free rate, plus beta 2 times small minus big, and beta 3 times high minus low, plus the error term that comes into it. So our next step is to form a new return sheet, and I've called it three-fact return. We have our dates, our IBM, Procter & Gamble, DuPont, Home Depot, and MA. If we take a look at this equation, it's 100 times the returns. So our returns are in decimals, so as we multiply it by 100, we end up with percentage. And then we're going to subtract from that the risk-free rate. So the way you're going to do this is we set that equal to 100 times the returns, and then we subtract from that on our three-fact sheet the risk-free rate, and hit return. Now I want to be able to drag this across, so I hit F4 to lock that in. That allows me to, instead of retyping the equation, go ahead and drag it across. We always want to reference that E2 cell, but only for this line or row of information. So now we're going to go back and remove the dollar signs on each one of our drag across. Or if you want, you can type the equations in. And our final one here. Let's hit return. And then all you'll do is highlight that top row and go ahead and drag it down, which I've already taken care of. Alright. So now we want to create a regression. And we're going to start on our tab here, which is the three-factor returns. So this is the actual stock returns. I'm already done IBM, Procter & Gamble, DuPont. So what we're going to do now is Home Depot, come into your data analysis, select regression. I've already done Home Depot, or I'm sorry, I've already done DD, so I'm going to change this and go ahead and select Home Depot. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the three-factor group. Make sure you include those top designators, the labels, and then we just pull it down, not including the risk-free return. And labels in the front row, we're going to dump it on a new worksheet. We definitely want the residuals. You can, if you want, to include the residual plots and line fits. A little more difficult to interpret that when you have multiple variables in the regression. We hit OK. So here's our regression results, our intercept, our beta 1, beta 2, and beta 3, and of course our residuals. So we're going to highlight our residuals and copy those and then drop them into the residual three-factor. We're going to come over here to our return sheet. We're going to highlight our coefficients, copy those, come over to our three-factor betas, and what I want to do here is go ahead to home and paste special transpose, and then we'll just move everybody where it needs to be. So that's alpha, that's beta 1, that's beta 2, that is beta 3, and next we want to get our standard errors, and again we're going to go ahead and paste special for the transpose and move each one of these in to the correct standard error column. Very similar to what we did for the market model regression. And I'm left with MA, so I can go ahead and delete this sheet. Don't need it anymore. And once again, under data analysis, regression, I don't need to re-highlight my three-factor variables. Those are already there. I just need to change and go to our MasterCard. And OK. And once again, get our coefficients. Home, paste special with the transpose. Move each one of them into the correct position. If you move something into the wrong space, don't forget your undo button. And finally, our standard errors. We're not going to worry about the standard error of the regression. Paste special, and go ahead and do the transpose and drop in our standard errors. Alright, a little cleanup here. Get rid of those heavy lines. Go ahead and give us a nice simple line underneath. And then just as we did in the single factor model, this one is going to equal the average of our alphas. And this is going to equal our standard deviation of our alphas. And again, just to highlight, typically you're going to have a portfolio with a lot more than just 5 stocks in mine or 10 stocks in yours. It's going to be at least probably 30 in there. So all I'm doing here is just copying the equations over so that I don't have to retype anything. So that's my average of my betas 3s, which is negative, and then the standard deviation associated with each one of my estimates. Alright, so that's the next step in the process. The next video is going to be similar to the single factor model. We're going to create forecast betas using the same methodology. The same basic equation here is going to be used. We're going to calculate the variances of each one of these columns. The three-factor, each one of these columns we're going to use a standard deviation for from the three-factor regression. Don't worry about the scaling. The standard deviation is going to be consistent whether you have decimal percent or numerical percent, because it's a deviation from the average. It won't be any different whether it's the standard deviation won't change whether this is divided by 100 or multiplied by 100. Well, there actually is an adjustment, but I'll show you how to do it once we get to the next video. Anyway, so that's the process. Once you're done, prepare to watch the next video as we go ahead and complete our betas. Forecast betas. We want to forecast beta 1, beta 2, and beta 3, and then we're going to create our variance covariance matrix of the residuals. Oh, I gotta remember, I gotta copy the residuals. And of course, you can always reproduce in the regressions that you're interested in. So our residuals, our variance covariance of the matrix of the residuals, and then we're going to go ahead and generate our actual stock variance covariance matrix. All right, thank you very much, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Bye.